Hi, this is Ed from The Dad Who Codes. In our last video, we got our onComplete button working, which uses the element property inner HTML to overwrite the to-do list HTML content with a simple paragraph that says to-do list completed. Then, we used the method setTimeout to make the application wait 3 seconds before calling the onDelete function on this paragraph element using the ID as the identifier. So our problem now is that we can't actually save our to-dos, and when we reload the page, we don't actually see our to-dos again. What we should really do is be able to save the data for the to-dos into some sort of database. But for this tutorial, we're going to be using something known as local storage. It's very simple to use directly in this replit application or from any website that runs JavaScript. So what is local storage? Local storage is a property of the window interface. The window interface is a way to refer to the window that contains your DOM document. Another way to think about this is the window where you can see your application or where your JavaScript code is running. That's your window. Have a think about your browser. Sometimes you can have more than one tab open at once. For each tab, it will be represented by its own window object. Local storage helps you save data within a web application. That data will be available to the user even if you close the browser, which is great because, as I showed before, when we refreshed our browser, our to-dos did not reappear. Local storage data is usually stored in something called a SQLite file within your browser. But what is a SQLite file? A SQLite file is known as a relational database. In simpler terms, it is a database. A database is something that just holds data for you. If your website held data for a school, it would hold data about students, their names, ages, what class they were in, etc. A database lets us search the data, such as finding a student, or updating the data, where you would change the student's class. Generally, databases are usually held on servers. This is so that if a database needed to hold thousands and thousands of pieces of data, a server would be the right place for it. But with SQLite, the aim is to run a database with minimal requirements. It doesn't require a server to run, and it's very small in size and can handle data similarly to a normal database. It's just the amount of data that can be held in a SQLite file is much different to a different database. So the main benefits to using local storage is that it's very useful to store and retrieve small amounts of data. The way local storage saves data is via something called key value pairs. We'll explain more about this shortly. The way data is saved and retrieved from your application, even if you refresh or close the browser, means the data is accessible to anyone. Common uses for the stored data include saving website preferences such as the website theme you want to use for your profile or the language you have selected. The downside to using local storage is that it is not ideal to handle a large data set, so you wouldn't want to use local storage to handle hundreds of thousands of customer data. Also, being accessible to everyone does also mean that sensitive data would be available to everyone, so you would never use local storage to save important information such as passwords or any other sensitive user information. So let's talk more about key value pairs. Here we have a replit application that I just built. There is a simple HTML document that has a div with the ID localStorage div. We then have a JavaScript file. We also have a variable div that points to the div content using the document.getElementById property. We then have a JavaScript object. Think of this JavaScript object as a container. It is represented by the opening and closing squiggly brackets. Each object can contain many properties, which are our key value pairs. Key value pairs are a way for us to give a value to a key. To give our JavaScript object a key, one way is to set the key property to a key value, as seen here. We can then set the value of this JavaScript object with the value property. In our code, we have a variable called HTML content that is a template literal that accepts the key and value of the JavaScript object. Then, if we look at the browser, we can see our key and value appearing. If we change the key to something else right here, and the value to something else, then reload our replit application, we can see the data changed on the web browser. So let us look at another example. I'm going to create a JavaScript object called daughter. I mentioned before that JavaScript objects can have many properties, which means that they can have many key value pairs. To give an object many key value pairs, we would type this within our JavaScript object instead. So within the squiggly brackets, first of all type in the name of the key directly. So I'm going to put in hair. Then enter in a semicolon. Then enter in a value you want associated with hair. So I'm going to type in black. Of note, when I give the key the value of black, I am setting the value of the key here. Now, for each new property you want to add, put in a comma and repeat the process. So my next key is going to be called age, semicolon, and I'm going to put in 5. Then I'm going to create one more key value pair, so put in comma. The new key is going to be called favorite color, colon, the value of the key here is going to be yellow. And now I have a slightly different template literal from my HTML content variable. And this time, to get the values from the keys, we call the key as a property on our JavaScript object, which is daughter. So if I want the value of the key called hair, I would type in daughter.hair. And note, right here with daughter.hair, I am getting the value of the key called hair. If I want the value of the key favorite color from my daughter JavaScript object, I would call daughter.favorite color. And now when I reload the replit application, we can see the value of our key appearing. To make our application return, for example, a different hair color, we just need to set the value of the key hair to another color. So if I can set it to blue, then reload our replit application, we can see the value of the key hair is now updated. So I'm going to emphasize this one more time. In order to return the value of the key, what we are doing is getting that value. And in order to change that value of the key, we are setting that value. Now these two keywords are extremely important when we start using local storage. And I'm going to go over them in more detail in the next video. So I hope to see you there. Take care and all the best.